short-term rental industry and market is just matured. It's different than it was. It's not dead, it's just different. My mom lost her business in 2008. I would say another big lesson is after they lost everything, they didn't go back into real estate. It's better to give them their money back and not worry about a 1, 2, 3 star review that will crush your listing. That will cost you more money than that refund. That is what really blew us up, was just becoming hyper focused and known as the short-term rental dudes.
What if your biggest setback became the foundation for your life, your business you were always meant to build? Today's guests, Blake Anthony Carter and Jeremy Courtney, are the powerhouse duo behind Cribs Consulting, one of Austin's leading short-term rental brands, reflecting what it means to build wealth through hospitality. Blake went from watching his family lose everything in the 2008 crash to managing 100 short-term rental units and co-owning a 14-unit property in Canyon Lake, proving that resilience and creativity can outlast any market shift. And alongside him, his husband, Jeremy Courtney, an STR and hotel interior designer, traveler, and co-founder of Cribs Consulting, the creative force behind the look, feel, and guest experience that turns ordinary listings into high-performing assets. Together, they've built not just a business, but a lifestyle rooted in freedom, design, and the belief that hospitality can be done right. In this episode, we dive into how to scale a short-term rental empire with your partner, what design and guest experience really mean in a crowded Airbnb market, and how to build financial freedom through service, not just strategy. Whether you're a real estate investor, designer, or entrepreneur chasing time freedom, this is one you'll want to take notes on. All right, welcome to the show, Blake and Jeremy.
Thanks for having us,
Thanks
dude.
for having us.
Yeah, it's fun visiting Austin. We thought we were going to do this in Carlsbad next quarter or at the end of the quarter, but here we are in your hometown, Austin.
Yeah.
And I absolutely love this town.
Yeah, you hit me up literally 24 hours ago, I think, and we scrambled this together, but yeah, happy to be here.
Yeah, well, first question is for you, Blake. You watched your mom lose everything in 2008. What did it teach you about risk in real estate?
That was, I was so young, like when we went through that, and even leading up to when she lost that business, I learned so much about real estate in general. Like I was just always around it, immersed in it. So I learned all about financing and construction and negotiations and just everything that you deal with in a real estate transaction. And then up until that point, whenever the market changed and they lost the whole business, I guess it taught me how to go about these real estate business deals and partnerships and life in general, and how to, I guess, assess risk. There's just a lot of things that they were doing that we can learn from that we don't have to do. There was so much crazy shit, going on in the market then. Like there was like 0 down investment loans, like really, really crazy stuff. And people weren't underwriting or protecting themselves properly. And I think the sentiment around real estate investing changed after then significantly. And it's definitely played a role in how we've navigated our business and like our own personal investing journey too. But I mean, honestly, it's probably been like the biggest blessing that I think could have happened. It was tough going through as a kid. I mean, we basically lost everything after that point. But I mean, looking back, I don't think we would be where we're at now in our lives if it wasn't for that.
So you've gone from, almost being homeless, right? Being deemed homeless to managing 100 properties now. What do you think made the difference between someone like you that just doesn't want to quit or someone that does give up?
Hard-headedness, I guess, man. So like whenever we were going through that, like whenever I was young with my mom, it was never, my mom is an amazing person. She never like felt bad for herself. It was never, I was never like super aware that we were struggling or going through this specific difficult season. It was kind of like looking back after a few years, realizing what had happened. Even when we were going through that period of time where we were deemed homeless, we're basically couch surfing, like finding friends that would let us. We were like sharing rooms and hotel rooms, but the way that my mom went about it allowed me to have such a positive attitude and like a positive outlook. I think like context matters so much. She could have been like sad and crying and depressed through that whole entire period, and really was able to maintain like this positive attitude, which I think leaked through into how I lead my life now.
Yeah, there's something to be said about going through hard times. I've been through some of my own as well. And sometimes you have to just kind of either put on a show for friends, family. I didn't have kids at the time, but you're a kid. So
Yeah.
your mom showed strength by having to put on, but it sounds like she had the right mindset, even though she was struggling. I'm sure it's just as hard on her,
Yeah.
but she didn't really let that show through to you.
Yeah.
So probably, I would imagine it gave you some encouragement, like, hey, it's going to work out. My mom's got this under control.
Yeah.
She's positive. Things are going to get better.
It's funny, like looking back, knowing, like when I was a kid, I didn't have context of the real world, I guess, and knowing what I know now about life and realizing what we had to go through and what she had to go through, probably personally and emotionally, it's kind of fascinating that we did get through it. You know, I think more than anything, like what helped us get through that specific period of time, and me, you know, growing into the person I have become from that, is truly just from like this positive mental attitude that, you know, she really manifested for me.
Yeah, it's great to hear. That's a shout out to your mom for living like that and having that mindset, because I think it's great. Jeremy, Cribs Consulting is your guys' company, but it started small and grew really fast. What was the moment you realized this is bigger than just selling homes or managing a small portfolio or multifamily like you did?
Yeah, I think we started in the co-living space, and then we transitioned into short-term rentals just by like chance. We had one of our co-living owners that reached out that was like, "Hey, do you guys manage short-term rentals too?" And we were like, "Hell yeah, we
Sure,
do."
we'll do it.
Like Googling like, what do you charge to manage a short-term rental? And so we had about 40 co-living properties at the time. I still have my W-2. And then we started to say yes, and we literally went from like 1 to like 20 STRs at the same time. And I think there was a time when like we had all these, or I at least had all these three things going on that I was like, holy shit. And so that's when we started to bring on like our team. And I think like when I realized like this is going to replace my day job, like this is like the real deal, was when we hired our operations manager, Betsy.
Yeah, like hiring our first employee was a big one. We started a local Facebook group, and at the time no one was like doing anything specific to short-term rentals in the real estate investing world in Austin. There was no short-term rental specific Facebook group for Austin. There was no short-term rental meetup in Austin. And we did that not even by some type of weird strategy. It was literally a friend of ours just saying, "You guys should do this." And we were like, "Sure, let's do it." Very small at the time. And we just became known by doing that as the short-term rental people in Austin. And our brand and presence has grown outside of Austin, but like that is what really blew us up, was just becoming hyper focused and known as the short-term rental dudes in Austin.
It's smart, and what I like about that story is someone said, "Hey, you guys should do this meetup and post a Facebook group."
Yeah.
And then you said, "Sure, that sounds good."
Yeah.
And number one, that's a low barrier to entry.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
gonna, if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But it sounds like it worked out very well.
Yeah.
So you guys now host a monthly meetup, is that correct, in Austin, and have continued to do so?
Yeah. Monthly, whenever we feel like putting them together, we do a lot of these big free meetups, and then we even run private events for our investors and clients and friends. We've just gotten such a higher return in our business on running events. So we do a ton of we'll do like private dinners and we'll do small group events, but we'll also go and do these big meetups and we'll have people come and speak. And the beautiful thing too, which I'm sure you've noticed from your podcast, is when we give people the platform to speak, we also get to connect with them too. And so that's also helped our business, not just like getting in front of tons of people, but getting high level people, giving them a platform to speak, and we become friends with them.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. And I know for me, I'm a lot better in person, and I feel like you're able to be more your authentic self. So for doing I get a lot of invites to do virtual podcasts and things, and it's like, if I wanted to just grow my brand, that sounds good, but that's not what I'm really looking to do. I'm looking to build relationships with quality people, whether it's referrals someday. I mean, we don't have anywhere near the same business, but it's like, no, hey, if I know people are looking for STRs, hey, my friends Blake and Jeremy, go to them. Those are just the relationships that I'm looking for. And that's what you get out of in-person meetups, whether it's investors, potential clients, or anything like that. And I think is really important. So what you guys are doing, I mean, you're doing things right. I've seen some photos of some of your events and things. So it looks very, very cool. But Jeremy, back to you for a minute. Let's talk about operations, because you guys scaled very, very fast. And you talked about hiring your first employee was a big thing. So now you're operating 100 plus STRs. You got that 14 unit near Canyon Lake. What systems have let you scale or helped you scale without losing the quality?
Yeah, so we the backbone of our business, we built our business on Monday.com. We actually hired a Monday consultant because we were trying to build it out ourselves, and just I'm not the guy that's going to do that. And that was super helpful. I also think really defining our roles in the business, and then Betsy's role, Betsy's our operations manager, has really helped us scale. And then when we employed Ronelia, when we hired her, she's our office manager. And her whole job is just focusing on clients, filtering work orders and stuff like that.
Yeah. I think that was a big one. For when we first started it, we were talking in that room over there. It was very much stepping on each other's toes.
Yeah.
And then when we really defined our roles and brought in employees to fill the gaps that we couldn't fill, that I think made a huge difference in our ability to grow and maintain quality. Because I would say at first we grew really fast and our quality wasn't really high, and we really had to figure that out.
So for the listeners here, I think I hear this common in a lot of businesses. And it's a lot of investors I have, they run a business with their spouse or a partner, and there's maybe not clear defined roles. And it's something I'm learning even from Kent, our coach. We're both in the boardroom mastermind. And it's you have to have clear defined roles, or else you are stepping on each other's feet. So for listeners out there, what would be your advice on how did you guys define the roles? Was that a meeting and a sit down? How can they define roles in a business if they don't feel that they're there yet?
So read the book Traction. We implemented EOS, and I feel every podcast we do is an ad for EOS, but it's the framework of which we run our business. And I don't feel our roles were super defined until we did that.
Yeah, EOS has helped a ton. I mean, that's been massive for our business. More than anything too, I think we're lucky in that we are in a partnership where the stuff that I'm not good at, he is good at, and vice versa. And I think that's so important when people are choosing partnerships. We talked about bad partnerships. If you're assessing a potential partner, I think that's so important. It's probably not good for me to go and partner someone that has the same skills of marketing and sales, which is my strength, and it's not a good idea for Jeremy to go partner with someone that's the same skills on operations. We really balance each other out. And so I would say, when it comes to going into partnerships, assessing that from the very beginning, just not just because you like someone and you think that you'd work well together, actually analyzing what the strengths are.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's something when someone's new at real estate or a new entrepreneur, that's who you're drawn to, someone that's similar to you, because you have the same energy.
Right.
And I've done it before. It's hey, let's partner and get a deal done. We got energy.
Right.
And then it just ends up being a terrible partnership.
Yeah.
because whether you don't vet them long enough or we had the same skills and you're stepping on each other. And now my partnerships look different where all my partners have opposite kind of skills because I sought that out after learning the hard way, right?
100%.
I think it's a big factor for people. So you've built a reputation for team and vendor loyalty, right? What's your leadership philosophy when things get chaotic?
That's a great question. Our biggest thing that we really hone in on is reputation. And I don't know if that's a leadership quality necessarily, but we take care of people that take care of us, and we put a lot of effort into keeping our reputation as high as possible. We're really well known in our community and especially in the short-term rental space in general. And so much of that has been built on having a reputation for honestly just being good people. You know, I tell people anytime that we work with them or we invest with them or we consult with them, mistakes happen. We're far from perfect, but we're always going to try to make it right. And at the end of the day, we're always going to try to do what is the we're always going to work with in integrity. I would say, you know, like what's the right thing.
Yeah, and I think if you set high expectations, I mean, you know, telling your team that, hey, our reputation is very important to us, that is leadership, right?
Yeah.
And saying, this is where we're not. Equality and reputation and morals is not where we're going to slack, right? And so I feel like if you expect that from vendors as well, to provide the same service, but you're showing them that we do the same, now you're building great relationships, number one. That's a really important piece of the puzzle, right? Jeremy, everyone's talking about an Airbnb crash right now, right? I hear it all the time. From an operator's seat, do you see panic or do you see opportunity, and why?
I'd say opportunity. There's, you know, we kind of went through this bubble where like everybody had an Airbnb, right? Like it was super easy. You could just go to IKEA and then post it on there. And those are being like weaned out right now. So the ones that are successful and the ones that are, you know, intentionally designed and that are professionally managed and just like that are done right are the ones that are still succeeding, which is, you know, like what we're trying to do, right? So, yeah, I think opportunity.
Yeah, I've heard. I had an Airbnb specialist in San Diego come on recently, and he called it hobby hosting. I thought that was a great term, right? It's like someone like me. I host my own Airbnb, but it's really my second vacation home, whatever. So it's like I don't care about the income as much, but a lot of people that are hobby hosting, meaning hosting themselves, and they're not really putting a lot of time and effort into it. I mean, they're just not making money where they're looking at trying to sell their homes. I see a lot of listings, and they're not as valuable or not worth what they think they're worth. So he believes you really got to shift into management, professional management, if you want it to be profitable or if you want it to survive and keep your house without losing your house. Because I think a lot of people got into STRs, like you said, in the last 5 years during COVID, when there was a boom, everyone was renting places all over, and you could make money and wing it. But now travel's down, I think. Yeah. And people, like you said, are looking for experience or a really nicely furnished place. Yeah. So would you say, would you recommend someone go out and buy an STR right now? And what are the key things that are going to make it successful? I mean, hitting on the same points that you said.
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, location is the biggest one. You know, you want to know your avatar. You want to know who's gonna go there, and then you don't want to do it half-assed. You want to make sure that you put, you know, it takes money to make money. You got to put money into the design. You've got to, you know, like be super intentional about it. But yeah, I mean, if you do all of those things.
Yeah, and I would add to like the market around short-term rentals has matured. It was so easy. The barrier to entry was so low to have success in short-term rentals, and it is a newer asset class in the world of real estate, at least mainstream-wise. And now if you want to get into short-term rentals and take advantage of some of the massive benefits, tax benefits, cash flow, access to quality real estate that short-term rentals can offer, you really have to take it seriously. A lot of people get into the STR game or did get into the STR game, and like Jeremy said, just put a IKEA bed and couch in there and called it a day and hoped it was going to work out. And now people have so many options, and the quality of those options is just getting higher and higher and higher. So you have to come up to that standard.
When bookings slow down, or you don't have a full calendar there and you need to come up with some more profits, what's your playbook to stay profitable? Like pricing, product, operations, what are some of the things you guys do to get that property filled, you know?
So, I mean, like everybody that manages, we use a dynamic pricing tool. We also list on like every website known to man.
Hope you're enjoying this week's episode of the podcast. If you're into real estate investing and want to consider partnering with Captain Capital, go to our website, captaincapital.com/invest. Fill out the simple form and let's book a call with the team. Now, back to the show.
Which we list on like 12 platforms.
Yep.
You can list on Peerspace as well for like people to come use your space. ALE Solutions, which is like if there's like an insurance stay, and just like marketing, right? Like we'll have micro influencers come out. If it's a themed property, that's something we do a lot for our boutique hotel.
Yeah, not just resting on the laurels of Airbnb.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Not on one or two platforms
right.
only.
Yeah, like diversification of platforms and income to your property is super important, especially nowadays. If you want your property to be a top performer, it's not just about letting it go on Airbnb. It is about dynamic pricing. It is
and with the dynamic pricing, a lot of people, you can't just like turn on dynamic pricing and just let it go, right? You need to be in there twice a week, manually reviewing pricing, updating it.
Yeah.
You can't automate everything.
Can't trust the AI fully.
Yeah.
Not yet. Not yet. Maybe we'll get there.
You mentioned something about an insurance stay. Not a lot of people talk about that. Can you go into more depth on how a listener could look into adding an insurance stay if their Airbnb is slow or their short-term rental?
Yeah, so you can go to ALE Solutions. There's like a whole form. You can essentially just list your property there, and that's where like a lot of insurance companies will look when, you know, they've got somebody displaced for a flood or a fire. We've had good success with that and like Furnish Finder as well.
I mean, it sounds like such a cool avenue, but it's not really talked about. I mean, even myself, I've heard of it, but I didn't know, where do I look? Where can I utilize that? So I think that's a unique tool.
Also, just like, you know, we, through the Facebook group and through meetups, we just meet a lot of insurance agents, producers that just know us, that when they have somebody that needs to stay, they'll reach out and say, hey, I need a 6-bedroom in Round Rock. This is the budget. And we'll be like, here's what we got. So just like nurturing those relationships as well.
Yeah. And like if people wanted to go towards like midterm insurance stays, I mean, ALE Solutions obviously is an option, but even just Airbnb, VRBO, we even list on like MLS sites for midterm rentals, like Zillow, Redfin, like those all have had success. Honestly, Airbnb books really well for midterm rentals.
Yeah, I've gotten a few snowbirds. In my house in Arizona, I do like a 4 or 5 month rental in the wintertime when it's slow season. And instead of having like 1 or 2 renters per month and not being profitable, it's better just to charge a high rent per month, kind of like a midterm, but it's just every winter because summer is busy.
Right.
And I found Airbnb is probably where I've gotten almost every single winter so far.
Yeah.
And it's surprising, even though I have like a max 30-day rental when you book my Airbnb. So they'll ask to book those times, and then they'll say, "Can you do 3 months or 5 months?"
Right.
Or so it's kind of it's cool to see that people go outside the box
100%.
and also request. And Blake, what's your honest read on Austin, the market right now? How are investors behaving, and where do you think the upside is right now in Austin?
Austin blew up during COVID. It was one of many cities that the equities, the values of properties just like absolutely went crazy. I think Austin had a huge spotlight on it for several different reasons. And the values definitely were, I would say, overexpanded, like for a certain period of time. And then we had over a couple of years, maybe a 200% increase in values. Just, I mean, properties were doubling in value over the course of a year. Absolutely insane. And then the market turned. We're all aware of that. Interest rates increased, buyers dropped out of the market, became harder to get loans, and it became harder to cash flow on deals. People couldn't afford their houses anymore because, or people couldn't afford to buy houses anymore because of interest rates, because of property taxes and increases. And especially in Texas, I mean, property taxes are 2% and higher. But since that like peak, the market's dropped 30%, 40%. My thing with Austin is that the economics are still there. We were overinflated. If you study stocks at all, you see like anytime it hits a peak, it usually goes way down, right? Like, and that happened here. The opportunity is still there from a long-term standpoint. And right now, the market, specifically in Austin, there are a lot more sellers than there are buyers. And we have gotten some incredible deals. Like we were talking about last night with the creative finance stuff that we do. I mean, we would not have been able to negotiate these deals in the market that was here 3 years ago. And even just some like insane, 50% of ARV type of deals, like really, really, really good stuff that just was not an option before. And so the people that are buying right now are definitely still making money. There are people that got caught, and that happened to us too. We got caught, bought at the peak and sold at the bottom. And that's tough, but there are still so many opportunities right now. And sellers are way more negotiable. For like context, when the market was absolutely going crazy, we had about 1,500 to 2,000 homes in the market in Austin. Now we currently have about 14,000 homes in the market in Austin. And so that right there just shows you how much that has increased. And we're probably going to be in a buyer's market for, I would say, probably the next 1 to 2 years at least, right? Until we really see an actual big change. Even if interest rates drop, I think there's still a lot of time it'll take to really eat into all that inventory.
Yeah, I think with the interest rates, like forecast to drop, let's say in the next 18 months, I think they are going to come way down. I think it's just going to be a slow play until Jerome Powell leaves office in May. I believe he leaves. But even with, I mean, that's a wild amount of homes on the market. But even then, those are people that maybe either have to sell.
Yeah.
Most of them probably have to sell.
Yeah.
And the homes are sitting on the market for 6 to 9 months or not getting any offers.
Yeah.
I'm sure you're seeing more price reductions. But I think, like you said, I think that's a buyer's opportunity.
Yeah.
But it's also to get creative. So it opens up more opportunity when maybe the news is telling people, hey, the real estate industry is really slow. There's no money and people are losing it. That's, what does Warren Buffett say? When there's fear in the market, that's when you want to go in.
Well, it's funny. You asked about like lessons learned from when my mom lost her business in 2008. I would say another big lesson is after they lost everything, they didn't go back into real estate. Because that's everybody who made money in 08, right, was buying those deals up, and they weren't. And I think we're in a similar situation now where the values have dropped significantly. Sellers have to sell. There's blood in the water, and there's so much opportunity to make a lot of money in real estate.
Yeah. Oh, I wonder, do you think it's similar to the 2008 crash, just maybe different circumstances?
Yeah.
Is kind of my thought.
I think so. There's obviously a lot more, I would say, government intervention specifically in real estate in this that I think has impacted that or like caused a lot of foreclosures to not happen. They're definitely still happening. There's a ton of defaults on loans right now, but we see these 40-year loan products, which I actually think is going to be the future of lending. But we're seeing these 40-year loan products, and they're putting a year's worth of missed mortgage payments on the back end, and just a lot of stuff that was not happening previously that I think government, banking institutions, whatever, they're kind of putting their hand in to make sure that it's probably not as severe as a drop as that 2008 crash. I think there's a lot of lessons learned. But in my opinion, we're probably going to continue to be in this recession. We're definitely in a recession, like there's no doubt about it. We're probably going to continue to be in this recession for at least another year. I think it could be longer. Because even like in Austin, not to ramble too much on this, but in Austin, we talked about there's 14,000 homes in the market. those people have to sell. But then you're even going to have, even if that inventory does start to move because of interest rates, you're still going to have people that wanted to sell that are then going to try to list their homes is going to be more added inventory to the market too. That's going to have to get eaten up. And so there's a lot of layers to that, I think.
Yes, I agree. I think we've been in a recession for at least over a year.
Yeah.
And maybe it's not talked about. The news probably isn't talking about it because as soon as they do, now fear starts.
Right.
I know, like, I travel a lot for vacation and for work, and I see the hotels. I own one hotel in Tennessee, and I see the hotels. We're in Maui in July with my family, and I'm looking around. It's not a crazy popular hotel, but it's a really nice one that I like.
Right.
And I'm like, it is dead here.
Yeah.
And my girlfriend's like, oh, can't we go stay at the Westin? I'm like, well, it's $1,200 a night right now. I don't really want to spend that money. We usually pay $450.
Right.
So I found an AC hotel. It's great, but it was empty. And so she actually loved it. And I go, we just went to the other one 3 months ago. Let's try something new. So here we are sitting in a very nice hotel in Maui for $350 a night, and no one's there.
Right.
And so I talked to him and I go, hey, I know it's kind of always like a slower hotel. It's like a transitional hotel. Corporate people use it. And he goes, oh, yeah, we're down like 10 or 15% on travel this year.
Crazy.
Overall. Doesn't matter if it's a transitional hotel. But then I drove over to the Grand Wailea for dinner, and it was like busy as heck there. $1,200 a night. But I find it, people are traveling less. There's more seats. On my airline flight to Austin yesterday morning from LA, 100 open seats.
Wow.
So I'm not saying it's like airlines are dying. They're still
Right.
traveling, but I think people are spending less money.
Yeah.
They're conserving their savings and things like that.
Big pullback for sure.
Yeah, and I think it's maybe people have learned from 2008. I mean, even myself, I'm pulling back. I'm cutting expenses, just saving where I can, selling an extra vehicle or two right now.
Yep.
And it's just like, it's not that I need to. It's just like, let's put more money in the bank. For me, it's more like, let's go get some deals because I know they're coming.
Yeah.
Right? And I know that's what Warren Buffett did. He would sell stock that wasn't performing. He'd wait, it would drop, and he would just pounce in. Mm-hmm. And I think it's a big thing. And there's a lot of fear for people. Think about even when we started real estate. It's like, what if, right? And I think it takes a lot of mindset to overcome that. And I think people just need to study and learn and listen to podcasts. Like, watch who you learn from, but don't be afraid to dive in.
Yeah.
And call people like you. If you guys want to get into short-term rentals in Austin, I know who to call. Right. Call Blake, And so let's dive in a little bit about your full business, because we talked about the cycle. We talked about Austin. We talked about a little bit about operations. But so you guys really have a full-service shop, it sounds like. Yeah. So you have a realtor group, right? A brokerage company, but then you also have the short-term rental operations.
Yeah.
So what are your specific roles in the business, and how do you divide up? To get back to earlier, You separated your roles for the most part. What do your roles look like in your current business right now?
Yeah. Well, and our roles have kind of evolved as the business has changed and grown. How we split up now is Jeremy runs our management company, and I run what I call our sales team. We do have a quote unquote realty group, but I kind of consider our company in general, Cribs, we're almost like real estate financial advisors that monetizes through commissions through real estate, because we only work with short-term rental investors. We work with a ton of like doctors and dentists and high-income W-2 earners that want to take advantage of some of the massive benefits that short-term rentals offer, but they don't want to deal with it. And so we help them come in, find the right deal, underwrite it, buy it. We can help them set it up and do all the right things to make sure it's performing, and then we manage it. Or we help them manage it. We also run a free school account, and all of our clients go in there, and we're putting deals in there, or we're talking about free trainings, and we put our events in there, and so it's like a full service, hands-on short-term rental experience. We just are honed in on Texas, and especially in the central Texas, Austin, San Antonio area. We're just dialed into this area.
So you do a lot of the sales, investor relations, education.
Yeah.
And then Jeremy, it sounds like you're managing the portfolio and handling day-to-day operations and making sure the wheels keep turning.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Jeremy is to make sure like shit actually happens.
Yep.
And I just talk about it. Yeah.
But businesses need both, right?
Yeah.
That's where, like we talked earlier, like I'm the visionary similar to you, where my CFO and my director of development, they make sure the other stuff happens, the important
Right.
stuff. They all play important roles. They're just very different. Let's talk a little bit about mindset. So you built this incredible resilience, but was there a moment that you almost walked away from real estate, and why?
Yes. So there was a time a couple years ago. I mentioned we've had experience buying at the top and selling at the bottom, where we had a stack of a couple flips that we lost a bunch of money on, over $100,000, and additionally, we were growing really fast in our business. And in 2022, we took out these really bad business loans. They're called MCAs or merchant cash advance. Have you ever heard of them?
No, I think maybe I've heard of them, but not.
Yeah.
If you can explain it for listeners.
It's totally
It's like business cancer.
Yeah.
It's a payday loan for your
for your
business.
So they give you a loan with cash to be able to grow or scale your business, right? You believe it's a tool, but I'm
Yes.
guessing really high interest rates.
Well, so because they're not like an actual loan, like lending laws don't apply to them because they're technically buying your future income. So they can disguise it any which way they want,
Yeah.
which is how we got into it.
We got into it, where they come to us and they say that you can grow your business. We're growing. We're not really at the point of like major profitability, right? And we need to hire people to facilitate all this growth that was happening in our business. We couldn't really afford it. So we get this loan, and at one point they were taking $1,000 a day from our bank account, and
A day.
us every single
They're
day.
30 days in a month. That's $30,000.
And we were just like watching this money come out. Like at first we didn't really realize what was happening, and then we're at the end of the month and we're like, holy shit, like where's our money? And we were young and dumb and just did not think through like what we were doing. It was not a good decision, and we ended up in these loans where we're just losing money, and it's not it's not even hitting the principal. It's just bullshit interest payments basically. And it was so bad. Like this went on for several months. We were at the point of just like Googling like how do you how do you do not foreclosure, bankruptcy. Yeah. I was like Googling like how do you do bankruptcy? I don't know how to do this. Like I think we're gonna have to like shut down.
We would like wake up in the morning and just be like,
I don't want to
I-
do.
I can't
Yeah.
today.
And so all this money's coming out, and we had to figure out a way to get out of it. So long story short, we put a stop payment on those payments, and because they're so just like fucked up, I don't know how to explain it. Like they're loans, but they're not.
We like hired this like law firm because when you are in one of these MCAs, you're on a list somewhere. I don't know where they get you, but you're on a list somewhere, and so all these like consolidation companies are reaching out to you, and one of them reached out and they were like, we can negotiate these for you. We can get you on a lower payment, whatever. And so we did that, and part of doing that is doing a stop payment.
Yeah.
So that's what we did, and then they supposedly negotiated a lower payment for us. We were in that for about 2 weeks. Things started to feel better, and
then they put liens on all of our accounts. So our bank accounts and our Airbnb account all of a sudden had a lien, and we could not access our bank. And not only couldn't access our bank, but we couldn't access the money from our Airbnb account. And so that started happening, and at one point we had over $150,000 in Airbnb, like pending payout. And the problem is that we are managing people's properties, and so that money that's coming to us has to go back out to the owners. But not only out to the owners, it has to go out to all of our vendors and cleaners and employees and everything. And there was nothing coming in, and so we were basically just having to scrounge through credit cards, and I would, sell a deal, and then we would use that cash to like fund it. Like, I don't know how we got through it. It was absolutely insane. We did that for a couple months. We had a good relationship with a hard money lender of ours that just gave us like the most gracious loan ever, and was like, I'm going to take care of you guys. We've always been good stewards of his money, and that got us out of it essentially. But that was like the darkest time in our business. Like, we're literally just not making any money. We're not able to pay our rent. We're not able to pay our utilities. Like, and we have houses, like we have people at our Airbnbs that are fucking like power goes out, like crazy shit, like stuff that would never happen now, but we were just drowning, and luckily we got out of that. But that was a point. Not only was it like I want to get out of real estate, it was like I'm just gonna go move to Mexico or something.
Yeah, it's like I want to get out of life.
Yeah.
All right. So after talking about the big loss and the gray days, what pulled you back in to want to continue with the business and to continue on?
I mean, I think, like when it's working, like we love what we do, and we're very, passionate about it. But I think that what got us through it really was like, Blake said earlier, like our reputation and integrity is really important to us. And like Kent says it all the time, like I didn't come this far to come this far, right?
Yeah.
And so, I mean, yeah, I was like,
we also lean on each other. I mean, honestly, like, people talk about working with your significant other being difficult. I don't think we could have gotten through that successfully if it wasn't with each other, honestly. Like, we were able to really lean on each other. We both understood exactly what each other was feeling in that moment, and we also owed it to one another. I think, like, because we have such a deep relationship with each other, we felt like we owed it to each other to pull ourselves out of it. And we did. I mean, literally, whenever we called that hard money lender, that's like a friend of ours, and it was a Hail Mary. It was literally, we're 1 or 2 weeks away from just losing it all, calling it quits, shutting everything down. We're figuring out how to tell our employees, hey, this is it. And it was just like a Hail Mary. Hey, can we figure this out? And we were lucky that he was there.
You could say a little bit of it is luck that he's there, but you also built that relationship.
Yeah.
You built the trust, which comes back to your reputation, being authentic. But yeah, it sounds like he trusted you.
Yeah.
Based on probably time that you had known him.
Exactly.
And that you would recover. I mean, He trusted you not just running a business, but okay, they're going to be profitable again to be able to pay this back, because there is a lot of risk to that.
Yep.
What's one unpopular truth about real estate investing that most gurus won't admit?
That's a great question. I would say, 1, that it's easy, and 2, that you can live off the cash flow from a few houses. I think cash flow is amazing. We talk about it in the real estate space, but I think if you're not in it, you don't always see it. Like, if you're just like a W-2 worker, you don't realize that, if I'm cash flowing, let's say $800 a month on a short-term rental, my entire profit can be wiped away if I have to go replace an AC. And so cash flow really is not where the wealth is built. And I don't even always recommend people that they just leave their job based on cash flow. Really where it's at is investing smart and having amazing equity in these deals, where you can either use that equity to go buy more deals, or if you ever sell and cash out, you can live off that.
Yeah, and like you said, I have to replace an HVAC at my house now. I knew it was coming. It lasted more years than I thought. But from a cash flow standpoint, like you said, I mean, HVAC is like probably going to be 10 or 12 grand, for my size house. Now that'll wipe out cash flow for 18 months.
Right.
And people don't think, and that's just one thing, not a water heater break, a roof replacement. Like, things happen, storms happen, I had a water leak, and the insurance didn't cover everything.
Yeah.
And it's like, and that also put my Airbnb down for 4.5 months.
Right.
So talking about loss of income, it's not just about losing cash flow. I got to make the mortgage payments. The insurance didn't cover the mortgage payments.
Right.
A lot of things can go wrong.
Yeah. And specifically around short-term rentals, like when it comes to these quote-unquote gurus, I think that the ones that are not doing it ethically don't understand and don't emphasize how important the setup and design in short-term rentals is, because that is really what makes or breaks the success of your property.
A question I got for you that I don't know this answer, I think listeners can take away from. What kind of insurances do you guys set up at each property? Because there's homeowners insurance that typically doesn't cover short-term rentals. So do you tell clients to get an umbrella policy? What kind of insurances are you guys advising?
Well, there is short-term rental specific insurance. So you can get like actual short-term rental policies, or you can get a investment property insurance with like a short-term rental rider. Those are becoming less and less available, I'll say. The main provider that we see now is Steadily Insurance. That's who we've had the most success with. And even like on our own properties, that's who we've been using. But in addition to not just the STR insurance, like we have the guest damage insurance. We have a guest damage insurance policy in place for like our owners, like our clients, where they actually are covered up to $1,500 in guest damages. But there are different companies that offer that. There's like Superhog, and I can't think of the name of the others, but where basically guests pay like a $50 non-refundable fee basically, and that covers you up to $1,000 to $2,000 in guest damages. Because even if you have a short-term rental specific policy, it's not going to cover like incidental guest damages.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's pretty smart. I mean, I don't have one myself. I don't do a ton of Airbnb, VRBO, like outside. So a lot of I've been having a lot of problems where I didn't used to have those. And now I'm finding I've had it this year, where people, and my house is set up pretty automated. I'm the one texting back if they have an issue or whatever. But I had a guest this summer, like Memorial Day weekend or 4th of July or something. It was just every little thing they would text me about, and it was just one of those renters.
Right.
You have people like not even ever, send you a message,
right.
And then they leave you a review or don't. And you're like, well, that was good. And the cleaner's like, hey, the house was clean. Everything was great. Those are the people we all love. But when you have a nightmare of a renter, it's so hard for me that's like, I just want the house to pay for itself because I'm good with that.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to turn it into a business in a sense.
Right.
Because for me, my time is better spent doing what I'm doing in real estate rather than trying to make $800, $1,000 a month, right?
For sure.
What kind of advice or what do you guys, how do you handle bad renters like that are just problematic? Because for me, it was like I didn't want to piss them off because I didn't want them to trash my house.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So how do you guys, what systems do you have or what do you have in place?
It's tough. You want to hear that?
I mean, a lot of it's like messaging, right? So we kind of like start coaching. So it's always for the review, right? It's always 5-star reviews, what you want.
Yeah.
And so we kind of start coaching them to leave a 5-star review from when they check in. And when you get one of those renters, it's like, this fork has a vent, or like crazy renters, you can kind of start to field them. We'll send cookies. We'll, all sorts of things. We'll call them like a personal touch, not just through the platform.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, especially like when you have as much properties that we're managing as we do, we almost have it as something like that every single weekend. At least one or two guests that check into these properties and they are just looking for a problem. So much of that,
Call them like professional guests.
Yes, professional guests, exactly. So much of that is expectation setting from the beginning, like having high-end communication, responding quickly to whatever issues that they have, trying to address them, even if they're not looking to find a resolution. They're looking for a problem. They're looking for a refund. Honestly, and this is like not a super popular opinion, but with a lot of these guests that are like that, you just need to give them a refund. Honestly, like give them their refund, let them go away, and like wash your hands of it. It's better to give them their money back and not worry about a 1, 2, 3-star review that will crush your listing. That will cost you more money than that refund ever will.
And like hearing them out, right? Like some people just want to be heard, because so many hosts will be like, well, no, that's not true. I have a picture. This was clean, like, you know,
Right.
whatever. But just like hearing them out and like validating what they're saying, like, oh, I'm so sorry that was your experience.
Like getting on their level.
and like, just like feeling bad for them, you know, like letting
can't
them
believe that happened,
letting them
you know?
throw their little temper tantrum and letting them feel like, oh, I really showed them. And just like kill them with kindness.
Yeah, I agree. And that's what I ended up doing with, I'm over here doing other things or whatever. And I'm like, oh my gosh, they're, messaging me through the platform and just about dumb stuff. It's like, hey, the EV charger is not working. Well, it worked 2 days ago when I was personally there at the house.
Right.
I have a Tesla. I don't know what the deal is. Well, long story short, they had the wrong amperage set up on their car. Had nothing to do with me. But called an electrician over that cost $150 for a visit. And he sat in their Tesla and just lowered the amperage. It's like, you're not at a supercharger. I have never had that problem. So I'm like, the car does it automatic normally. Just charges at a lower amperage. It's not, it's a home charger. It's not a big deal. But long story short, I ended up refunding their money because I was just so frustrated that I'm like, how do I not get more messages?
Yeah. Like,
it was just so much. I sent my cleaner over there, said the fridge was a little dirty, which it really wasn't. She's like, the crazy part for me is I paid $600 for a deep clean on my house to get ready for the summer. And it's like the first guess after that. What the heck? So you guys know. So I refunded the money, same thing. And I'm like, I'm going to give you a refund. And then they even complained about the refund because Airbnb took their fee.
Yep.
But I didn't refund 100%. I said refund 100%. Airbnb took their $130 and they're like,
still made their money.
well, hold on. We're missing $130.
Yeah.
Well, that's not on
You
me.
gotta talk
That's
to
an
Airbnb
Airbnb
for
fee. I refund. I made zero money on this. Actually cost me money.
Yeah.
I go, I paid the cleaner, da-da-da-da-da. And then they actually left my house dirty. The cleaner's like sink full of dishes, all this stuff. I'm like, but sometimes you got to walk away. Like you said, they didn't leave me a review at all. I didn't leave them one.
Right.
And it's just better to play that game.
Yeah.
Right? But Jeremy, do you think the STR world got too hot and overhyped? Or is the hype just part of the growth?
I think the hype's part of the growth. I do think that, like, when it was like the viral thing to do, and everybody was, making a TikTok, like, look, look at all this money I'm making. I don't want to say overhyped, but I think that it made it look a lot easier than it is. But I think where we are now, I think those people have kind of fallen off.
Yeah, and it's good. Like when people trash short-term rentals, I don't mind it.
Yeah.
Like if less people are in the game and we can still be successful, like that's totally fine. Honestly, we see it as an opportunity. Like we said earlier, the short-term rental industry and market is just matured. It's different than it was. It's not dead. It's just different.
Yeah, and so many people have outside different opinions, right? Whether you agree with them or not, this is the world of social media and commenting. Like you just get so many random weird comments no matter what we do.
Yeah.
It's just, but once you do what you love, I don't really care what the outside thinks about my asset class or real estate investing. It's not everybody's a scammer. We're actually running businesses, things like that. So I think, but as long as you're doing what you love, which is STR, short-term rentals, hand-holding clients through the whole process, analyzing, underwriting a house to actually purchase, then design it, and then run it for them is a huge skill and a service that I don't hear offered a lot from a one-stop shop. I see a lot of, hey, we're just Airbnb management or short-term rental management company, and that's all they offer. I mean, I think there's something to be said about educating people on, hey, this is how you save in taxes.
Right.
We may not all be CPAs, but we're learning because it actually helps our business.
Totally. And
we can kind of just go, this is what we know, but call my CPA or a CPA. I think it's a really fun part of it. A couple more questions while we wrap it up. What keeps you guys up at night?
That's a great question. I would say
ADHD.
Yeah, definitely. Too much caffeine. No, probably, like, I don't want to, I guess, be too redundant, but our reputation, man. I think a lot about the stuff that stresses me out the most is when we have to deal with an upset client and really hand-holding that process, like making sure that we at least did everything that we could to take care of that. we rarely have upset clients, but it definitely happens. Like, I think any service-based business, it happens. And that is the stuff that I would say stresses me out the most. Money stuff, upset guests, my family drama, like that stuff stresses me out far less than thinking about anything other than a crystal clear reputation for us.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Anything operational, Jeremy, or?
I mean, I'm constantly thinking about like how we can get better,
Yeah.
right? Like
Teams messing up.
what can we like, even from like we have a guest communications team, right? They're based out of the Philippines. They'll use the wrong word, or they'll call, like someone will ask if it's a 2-story house and they'll be like, oh, it's just a bungalow. I'm like
weird responses.
yeah. And so I'm just thinking of like, how can we like
Tailor
prevent
that.
tailor
Yeah.
that, make it more of a white glove experience. Just kind of always thinking about.
Yeah.
we
He's
can get
he's
better.
saying it nicely, but he looks at his phone, the communications sometimes like, what the fuck? What
Oh my
is
God,
that? Like, why did you say that?
So I mean,
my
it
phone.
sounds like every entrepreneur.
Yeah,
Even if we sleep well, we're up thinking at night.
for sure.
No matter what, did I do enough today? How am I going to improve tomorrow? How do I get where we want to go?
Right.
That's why I like asking that question, because different people think differently at night, or what keeps them up. I think it's an important question, right? What's one book, if you guys can each answer a different book, what's one book that really made a big impact on you that you'd recommend listeners to read?
Mine is always The 5 Regrets of the Dying by Bronnie Ware. Have you?
I haven't heard of it.
Dude, it's amazing. It's basically Bronnie Ware was a ICU nurse or hospice nurse, like in-house for several years, and she basically took notes of like the regrets that people had that they were dying, and she wrote about the top 5 regrets. And a lot of that was, spending time with my family and living a life that was meant for me, not for someone else. And that book, that was one of the first personal development books I ever read, and it changed my outlook on life.
Wow, I like it. I haven't heard of that, but it sounds great.
It's good.
What about you, Jeremy?
So I was late to the Ed Milet train, but he came and spoke at Boardroom, and I was like a blubbering baby. And so after that, I read The Power of One More, and that I'm like, it's like everybody's Christmas gift, like buying it for everybody. Like,
Yeah, I watched that speech. I joined the boardroom right after. I watched that speech just because I'm like, ooh, Ed's a big speaker. That was like an amazing
It was.
speech. And I thought it was very like private. It seemed like, I don't know if he had done that speech other times. It seemed like he kind of handcrafted
seemed
that
very
for that audience, right? Because it was I think a lot of people in the boardroom that we're in is a giving audience, and we want to give back. I know you guys do some charity work at your holiday party and things like that, and I think it's special. I think you guys were in the room with Morgan 2 times ago when we shared that room together.
Yeah.
Morgan had her 40th birthday and raised money. I can't remember if it was.
Did you go?
No, but
Oh, okay.
but she talked about it, and I go, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Where she asked all her friends to not get her a gift and let's donate money, and I think it was for kids, if I remember right. And
yeah, I think so.
I think that's just such the coolest thing. But I'll have to read The Power of One More. I haven't read it yet.
You should. I listened to it.
Do you? Yeah, I'm a big audio guy nowadays.
He narrates it.
Okay.
So
then
I've just
that
been
makes a
like
difference.
driving in the
Makes
car,
so much
walking
of
the
a
dogs, crying.
Yeah. Then the book I'm reading right now, listening because I drive so much, is Morgan Housel. One of my favorite books is Psychology of Money. I talk about that on my show sometimes. It changed my life and how I think about money. It's not how much you can make. It's really that's a good one. But he just came out with one, The Art of Spending, and he narrates it himself as well. And it's a very, very good book about just like don't overspend. Like there is an art of spending money. Some people make money and you just go buy whatever you want. Like there's no art to that. Yeah. There's no budget. And so he goes, hey, every dollar has a job. Like and for me, he reminded me, when I go to work, no matter what you're working on, and you're exchanging your thoughts or time for money, now you get that dollar, but the dollar has a job. Is it to put housing over your head, food, and like don't waste it all, because then you have to go actually work harder to make it. So if people are a little more intentful on how you spend your money.
I like that.
But anyways, long story short, I love the audiobooks now because I drive so much, or I'm on an airline, and I always have a paperback in my backpack, but I find myself going through seasons. And it's like, I'm done with the earphones. I'm going to read the book. So I have one in my bag at all times. But lately it's just like audiobooks, like twice a week, 2 books a week. Reading has changed a lot for me. I think it helps personal growth, things like that as well. But last question for both of you. How do you want to be remembered?
As a good person that gave back.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the best I could ask for, honestly. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I don't really care necessarily about having all these accolades. Oh, I do care. Don't get me wrong. But like when it comes to how I want to be remembered, is that I was a good person, I did the right thing, I treated people right, people enjoyed being around me, I made a difference.
Someone you can always count on.
Yeah.
I like it. It's good. Well, thanks for coming on the show. We wrap it up. And where can people find you if they want to learn more about Cribs and you guys personally on Instagram?
Yeah, that's kind of where we live is Instagram. I'm Blake Anthony Carter or Blake.Anthony.Carter.
The Jeremy Courtney.
Yeah, and that's join our free school too. So we have it's all free. There's no upsells. There's no like weird paywalls anywhere. It's all free. You just go to link in our bio and you can join our school. It's free training, off-market deals, feedback on stuff, all that.
Yeah, and a fun community to be part of.
And where do you guys post about your meetups? I know you have one coming up November 18th, which is about 3 weeks out. Where can someone go and find that? You post that on Instagram or a website as well, or?
Yeah, it's on all of our socials, basically.
Okay.
That's just where we post them. And then in our school community, too.
Cool. I'll make sure to include all the links in the show notes. But thanks so much for taking time out of your day and educating the listeners on short-term rentals, especially in Austin, and hardships of entrepreneurship and coming back.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thanks.
All right, thanks, guys. Thanks for tuning in this week. We'll see you next week.